And we're live with another episode of BS Busters. And, I mean, I don't know what else to say. I mean, we're live. But before we go any further, let's have the gentleman who's on Smash Brothers introduce himself.
This is Kanoshi Abominito, and boy, did they do some work with the, you remember the Kirby stage with the nighttime themed Kirby stage from Melee?
Yeah. Oh yeah, Fountain of Dreams?
Yeah. Holy crap.
But it's too bad that the competitive Smash finally banned that stage, even though it was a counter pick in Melee.
Okay, I'm just going to say this right now. Fuck the competitive Smash players. There you go. Jules, introduce yourselves.
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls of all ages, this is Joy. Okay, we're about to bust some major BS before Santa Claus flies away.
All right, Pinky.
And this is Pinky Don from Video Game Facts. In a few minutes, I'll be away for a while because I'm going to be eating some dinner. But I'll be back shortly after.
All right, okay. And of course, it's me, your host, Mr. Red Fox. And as always, we have a full roster because this week, despite there not being a lot of news, there is some news that brings a smile to my face. So I guess we need to get the elephant out of the room first. So the elephant in the room is the overall topic of this is people trying to prop up shit that is failing. You know,
the most obvious being Fallout 76 from Bethesda.
Fallout 76 is an example. It's like a symptom of the disease. But the big one is the PS Mini, folks.
Don't tell me. Something happened to it again.
No, well, I mean, it's a commercial failure. Because it was basically they used the PAL versions of games, the Pacific Asian region of games.
And didn't those run at about 50 frames per second?
Yeah, because the PAL TVs run at 50 hertz, whereas in America everything runs at 60 hertz. So basically, they use the inferior versions of games. And here's how lazy Sony was. The emulator that the PS Mini uses is an open source emulator. And they could
open source emulator?
They couldn't even be bothered to create a custom emulator for their shitty PS Mini. And the games they put on it, I mean the PlayStation games on the PS Mini in Japan, some of those are pretty good. But the rest of them are just like bullshit here in America and in Europe. I mean, it's garbage. So, I mean, what are your guys' thoughts on this?
Well, what I like to know is how the PS... I don't know how the PS4 exists at this point, the way they put out the PlayStation Mini. Like, they put out such a shoddy, it's
the same way. It's the same. I mean, the PS4 launched with we're just gonna throw some shit out there and the people will buy it. But here's the difference: there is no counter console that's so shitty in comparison to the PS Mini that people are like, nah, I think I'll stick with this. I'll go with the Mini. You know.
Well, there is that Sega Genesis Mini.
You mean the at-game Sega Genesis that no one gives a shit about anyway?
Years though, nobody's surprised about that.
Yeah. No one's like, oh my god. Here's what I'll say. The PS. No, Joel, go ahead.
I was going to say that without, I can only imagine how much of the profits are going to go south. And this is those retro fakes that everybody keeps on.
Well, the thing is that Sony released the PS Mini because they had nothing else to release this year, and they were counting on that to generate some money for the PlayStation division, and it didn't work. Which begs the question. I've said this before. The PlayStation is one of the most fucking overrated consoles in terms of first-party games of all time. and I'm gonna go out on the limb and say this. I think that if Nintendo released a Nintendo 64 Classic and they put like some iconic games on that system, along with some good third-party games, they could totally
outsell the PS Classic.
Dash.
well, yeah. It would be. I mean, think about it. Okay, the PS Classic has 20 games. If Nintendo said, okay, next year, folks, we're coming out with the Nintendo 64 Mini, the Nintendo 64 Classic. It's going to have Mario 64. It's going to have Yoshi's Story. It's going to have Legend of Zelda, Ocarina of Time, and Majora's Mask. It's going to have, as a caveat to people who haven't played this game because it only came out on the DD in Japan, Doshin the Giant. It's gonna have
F-Zero X.
F-Zero X. It's gonna have Ogre Battle 64. It's gonna have Super Smash Brothers. It's gonna have Mystical Ninja starring Goemon. It's gonna have
Ogre Battles.
I already said Ogre Battle. It's gonna have
Mischief Makers.
Yeah, it's gonna have Mischief Makers. It's gonna have Bang.io, which is another treasure game. So that's 11. It's gonna have the Gauntlet Legends. It's gonna have, so that's 12. It's like basically there's some really good iconic games. It's gonna have Extreme G2. You know, they're good. It's gonna have Snowboard Kids 2. You know,
there's Doom 64, which is the only exclusive Doom game.
I mean, I personally would go with GoldenEye. I mean, if you're gonna go with a first-person shooter on the system, I would go with GoldenEye or Perfect Dark before I would go with Doom.
That's
64.
assuming if it's gonna have any rare games.
Well, I mean, I think Nintendo could get GoldenEye 64 because the original code for that game was exclusive to Nintendo, so I think they have the rights to that. Just like when they re-released GoldenEye for the Wii, like it came to the Wii first because Nintendo basically has the source code for that. And considering that the original, like the Nintendo Classic would be like this N64 Classic would be for the N64, then clearly. I think they could pull that off. Donkey Kong 64, that's 14. I mean,
there's Pokemon Snap, which is
Pokemon Snap. You could have one of the Pokemon Coliseums. People really maybe like a Mario Party. Not more than one Mario Party. Like I don't think there should be more than one Mario Party.
It should be
Mario Party 3.
It should be Mario Party 2. Then it's considered to be the best of the series.
Man, I don't care which one. I just think there should be a Mario Party. So that's 16. So we need to go with 4 more games for the N64 Classic that would make it better than the PS Mini. We're already doing better than the PS Mini because all of these are pretty money games.
See, was Rayman 2 on the N64?
What?
Not that I know of.
No, it was Rayman 3 Hoodlum Havoc. That was the 3D one. It was a pretty good game. I don't want a Ubisoft game on there because fuck that studio. They don't deserve the exposure.
Okay, there's Mega Man 64.
Yeah, Mega Man Legends 64. So that's 17.
Then there's Castlevania 64. But
no.
I was about to say, isn't Castlevania one of those harder games?
No Castlevania 64. If we have to have a Konami game on the system, I would go with Hybrid Heaven. It's like a tactical RPG, kind of quirky, but totally worthwhile. And now we're at 18 and 19 and 20. 18, Wave Race. Wave Race. 19.
Then there's Star Fox 64 for the on-rail shooter.
Yeah, Star Fox 64. Why not? And 20. We need a number 20. I already said the 2 Legend of Zeldas on the system, but we need a 20. We need a 20th game.
Paper Mario
Rayman 2 is pretty good.
Rayman 2. No, I didn't want any Ubisoft games on there. Because fuck them.
Mario Kart 64.
Hey, you know what? I would say if they have Mario Kart 64, they need to include Diddy Kong Racing as well. So there you go. You get a bonus game. 21 games on the N64 Classic. You're already doing better than the fucking PS Mini.
Oh,
yeah. Which, from what I've heard, is not very good. For those of you watching, if you click on the YouTube window, it'll take you to the YouTube, to the live feed of the podcast, and you can leave comments in the chat section, which is fine and dandy.
If it helps, has one thing going for it. It's not as bad as some hack systems that we've seen on the market at times.
Well, I mean,
You know,
at games is like bottom of the barrel, really. That's like at games is a step above like those little shitty Atari mini console
games,
collections.
I was saying those rip-off mini game systems.
Yeah, that's what I'm talking about.
Those ones that you usually see in the bargain bins or Dollar Trees.
I mean, the thing is like, and I've said this before, the fact that the PS Mini has kind of flopped sales-wise and financially is, I mean, I've said this before, the PlayStation is one of the most fucking overrated consoles of all time. If you take out the third-party support, right? If Sony was smart, they would have instead created branded PlayStation Minis. Like, there would have been PlayStation Mini Fighting, where it would have just been like fighting games, like Street Fighter, X-Men versus Capcom, or Marvel vs. Capcom 1, Marvel vs. Capcom 2, Red Earth, Tekken, what was that other one? Shit. I forgot. King of Fighters, Guilty Gear, stuff like that. Or PS Mini RPGs, where it had been just nothing but RPGs. PS Mini platformers, nothing but platformers. But Sony got like you can look at the game lineup on the PS Mini. You can look at the quality of the games on there and how they're all PAL. This was a lazy fucking cash grab. Lazy bastards.
And now they're suffering because of it.
Yeah, and the way I feel about it is fuck them. I know some people be like, how could you say that? Fuck them. That's what I got to say. Fuck them.
Of course.
So I guess we can now talk about the next topic on the list, which is speaking about Capcom. Earlier I mentioned
this time
PlayStation Fighting. Well, the PS Mini Fighting. Well,
does it involve the Street Fighter? Does it involve the Street Fighter 5 advertisement?
That's right. That's right. They just keep on trying to get this game to be popular, and it's just not working. It's like a dude going on a date with a girl and says something so uncouth at the dinner table in the restaurant that you're not going home with her. It's just not gonna happen, and yet you keep on trying to make it happen. It's like it's like Paul Newman told Tom Cruise in The Color of Money, kid, it ain't gonna happen. It just ain't gonna happen, and yet they keep on trying. It's ridiculous. It's almost funny.
A for effort and a total.
So what was the advertisement? I haven't seen it.
For the landing.
Well, the advertisement is that if you go on Street Fighter 5, like currently, there was an update that doesn't really make the gameplay any better or anything like that. Instead, it adds a whole bunch of fucking
stickers on.
What?
It puts stickers on.
Yeah, it puts like advertisements for Evo and stuff like that, and like Street Fighter. I'm like, so you're advertising your game and Evo in your game. That makes no goddamn sense. Like, if this was advertisement for money, the best time to do that would have been when the game came out, when it was still popular. Like Street Fighter V isn't popular. Like Street Fighter V is hurt the brand of Street Fighter.
And it's hard to recover from brand breaking.
Keeps trying to advertise, keeps trying to shove it down our throats with its.
Sorry, but you're once by a game that's not necessarily considered a fighting game by many.
I mean, look, I'm gonna put it like this, okay? Capcom right now is like, you know, when you watch those nature documentaries and they say if a tortoise is flipped on its back and it tries to get back up and it just can't. That's basically Capcom with Street Fighter V. It's like, look, man, that turtle has to die. I'm sorry, it's not gonna be able to flip itself over on its off its back anymore. It can't do it, which is sad because, you know. I mean, personally, I feel bad about it, but
I don't. They did it to themselves.
Well, the reason I feel bad about it is because I know it could possibly be a better console. I mean, I know it could have been better, but they fucked it up.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. I thought you were talking about Street Fighter V for a second. It's like, you feel bad for Street Fighter V? I don't. They did it to themselves.
No, I feel bad because I think, like, okay, and I know some people are going to say, you're defending them? You're defending this bullshit? I'm not defending them. I'm defending that it could have been, like, the reason the game was dropped early is because they got in bed with Sony. The reason Capcom got in bed with Sony is because for years and years and years, they've been making bad financial decisions. Now, I don't like Yoshinori Ono. I think that because of him...
Be right back. My dinner's ready.
All right. I think because of him that I think his games have gotten... Like, I think Street Fighter has gotten worse under his watch, but he had to fall on his sword for upper management's deals that they made. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I don't like seeing employees. I don't like seeing lower level employees, or, you know, like people who, like, they didn't make that decision. Like, I don't think Yoshinori Ono said, yeah, this, like, Street Fighter normally, typically, a new Street Fighter game takes an entire console gen for a new one to come out. Typically speaking. Like, they make multiple reiterations of the same game with, like, little fixes and shit. But typically, like, you're not going to get Street Fighter 3 until the next console comes out. And they announced Street Fighter 5, like, literally, like, a year into the life cycle of the PS4. And they were like, yeah, it's coming out next year. And I'm like, that's not long enough because like, it takes like 3, 4, 5 years for a new Street Fighter to come out. 3 years is short. Like 4 or 5 years is the development cycle for a new Street Fighter. Yeah, new iterations, but I'm talking like a new game in the series. It takes 4 or 5 years. There was no way that game was going to be ready. And then they made him fall on his sword because upper management fucked him over.
Yeah. Seems like
and I'm not cool with that, you know.
Seems like that's what's going to happen with a lot of Bethesda's games that are coming out, because I don't know. It just seems like this upper management don't really care about games. They just care more about the money that games can bring.
Yeah, they make calculations that this shit's going to make money. Like, I guarantee this is probably going to make money.
And sometimes those calculations are BS.
Well,
like, they don't care about the hobby of video games or anything like that. They're just...
Yeah. We have a comment from Weister20. I forgot Rogue Squadron. Yeah, but I'm going to keep it real. I like Rogue Squadron for the N64, but really there's a better version of that game, Rogue Squadron 2 for the GameCube. That's like basically a better version of Rogue Squadron because the graphics are better, the sound is better, the levels are more expansive, there's more ships, there's more cheats, the missions are better, the AI is better. It's basically like Rogue Squadron better. It's Rogue Squadron 2.0 in every way, shape, or form. So, I mean, like, I would rather drop Rogue Squadron for the N64 Mini. And if they do a GameCube Mini, have it for that, than to have the original Rogue Squadron on the N64, because Rogue Squadron 2 is better in every possible way. Plus, it has the Naboo Starfighter, which is just fucking awesome. I mean, that ship is remarkably cheap.
What? How can you beat awesome?
Well, the Naboo Starfighter is awesome. Also, the V-Wing is pretty cool in the game. Like, my favorite ship, though, in the Rogue Squadron series is the X-Wing, because it's just really versatile. Like, when the S-foils are closed, it can go insanely fast. When it's open, it has great firepower. It has an astromech attached to it, so like if you take damage, if you can get away from enemies hitting you, your ship will slowly heal itself back up. And plus, I mean, the X-Wing is really like it's really versatile. Like you're gonna be equipped with proton torpedoes, concussion missiles, bombs. It's a very versatile ion cannon. It's a very versatile ship. Plus, it's got a hyperdrive. The recipe for killing Aries73 has a comment. The recipe for killing the video game industry just adds suits. Well, no. It's not that suits are the problem. The problem is that you have people making business decisions without understanding the audience for which they are making business decisions for. You know what I mean?
Like, there's business people. I mean, there's people that work in the industry that are kind of tone deaf in certain situations, right?
Yeah. I mean, it's basically like, let's say you're a teacher, right? And you are in charge of youth outreach for after-school program, right? And instead of you trying to get shit that's going to make, like, kids between the ages of 12 and 15 come to the program, you're getting shit that would appeal to a 40-year-old. It's like your decision making is not going to be effective in getting that program to grow. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
And that's basically what's going on, is that they don't seem to understand why their decision making is hurting their audience. But it is what it is. So that brings us to the little bit of surprise that we had, which is Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 coming out, and it's a Nintendo Switch exclusive. Who would have seen that shit coming?
That's as much a surprise as what stole the Game Awards.
I'm sorry. Yeah, I don't know how the heck that happened.
I didn't see it happening.
Yeah.
I mean, I knew Nintendo was going to drop something, but I didn't see them dropping that shit. I was like, I can't believe that.
A lot of didn't see it coming.
So
yeah, watch all those jaws hit the floor.
So what are your guys' thoughts on this? I mean, are there any, I guess now it's time to fanboy, fangirl out. Is there anything that you're like, man, I really hope this game has this, or this?
What game? Just a new game or
Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 exclusive to Switch?
I haven't played any of those games.
They're basically like a Gauntlet Legends, except you have a squad of like three plus the character you're controlling, so 4 characters that you're moving around on the screen with, fighting different enemies from the comics. So like Marvel Ultimate Alliance 1 like heavily featured the X-Men. Ultimate Alliance 2 featured like Captain America, Fantastic Four, X-Men, Spider-Man, other Marvel characters. This one looks like it has Guardians of the Galaxy, X-Men, the Avengers. I hope they add the Fantastic Four personally because, damn it, the Fantastic Four deserve to come back. I need my Ben Grimm.
To be honest with you, I agree with you, though. If anything, there's a bit of a hope, iffy one that I can expect through. That they at least keep out of the show of sorts.
You mean the cinematic universe?
Yep.
Well, I mean, I think that's the reason they can have all these characters together is because they're doing the comics, not the cinematic universe, which is cool with me because I just want to see the Fantastic Four. That's it. I just want the Fantastic Four. I just want Ben Grimm and Reed Richards and Sue Storm and Johnny Storm, Spider-Man. Even if they have to do DLC for some of the characters, I'd pay for it. So
I don't know. I guess I hope it's a good game.
well,
I didn't read a lot of Marvel comics growing up, or any actually.
Marvel Ultimate Alliance games are basically like a comic mashup of your favorite Marvel characters going around beating shit out of various enemies like Doctor Doom and the Mask Initiative, the Hellfire Club, the Genosian mutants, stuff like that, Inhumanoids, stuff like that. It's one of those. It's basically like a Smash Brothers type game where it's just an excuse to have these characters come together and beat the shit out of bad guys, which is great. So I like it personally. But
I know people like those games, and they were disappointed with the re-releases when they came out.
Well, because the re-releases were missing content. So
yeah.
Like if you're gonna re-release something and it's got less content than the original, it's kind of like when it's kind of like when Microsoft first re-released Conker's Bad Fur Day, and they fucking censored it for the Xbox, for the original Xbox.
Which because that is the better version.
Well, graphically it was the better version, but it meant that the definitive version of the game at the time was the one on the N64 because that one wasn't censored. Well, I mean, it was censored, but not nearly as much as the N64 one. Personally, Conker's Bad Fur Day is one of my favorite Rare games because it's just so off the wall, you know?
Okay.
But for those of you listening, leave your questions in the chat section. We'll get to them at the end of the podcast. Questions about any of the topics we've covered or anything like that. So we're moving on. Next topic. So Ni no Kuni 2 has finally released their DLC almost a year after the game came out. What are your guys' thoughts on that? Them waiting this long to release DLC for the game?
Time and what in the heck is in it to make us wait this long?
I don't know. That's what I'm trying to figure out. Like, why did it take so long for the game to come out? for the new DLC to come out.
I don't know what. When did they?
It released March 23rd. So I mean, we're basically looking at roughly, let's see, March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October, December. You're looking at basically 8 months. Like, I think all interest for that game has kind of waned a bit. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So for them to release DLC now is kind of like, well, who fucking cares? You know? Like, we're adding new content. And the sad thing is that there was a season pass with this game, a $20 season pass. And I'm like, okay, like if someone pays for a season pass, they want that shit in a timely manner, you know?
Yeah. Well, we're not going to see all the DLC
Like,
content for Smash in like the next 6 months. Probably the first one.
Yeah, but Smash has so much content in it already that, like, shit that you're just unlocking just on GP that you're like, okay, annoying, but, you know.
Yeah.
But with an RPG...
It's like seeing a star meal and then your dessert coming right next to it.
Well, it's like
that's also a 5-star meal.
It's like someone saying, hey, it's like you buy a house and like it's a new house, so it's under warranty from the builder. And they're like, yeah, like we know there are little problems that have to be fixed. We'll get to that in a year. It's like, but can't you do it right now? Yeah, but we'll get to it later on in a year. That's basically what they're doing, what they did, which is, you know, like the whole purpose of DLC is to generate continued interest in your game. The fact that it took them 8 months to get to this DLC, I'm like I don't know how they expected this game to do well. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's like did they show the trailer for their DLC and all this other stuff like oh, this.
Well, for the longest time, they didn't even tell you what the DLC was. It was like give us $20 for the season pass, and there'll be future DLC. And it took a long ass time. I'm like, how the fuck did you? Like, I don't get that.
Yeah.
Where's the momentum?
Exactly. Like, momentum stalled out for the game, so there was no reason to, you know.
Was it any good?
Ni no Kuni 2?
No,
well,
the DLC.
I don't know. I haven't gotten it. I didn't pay for the season pass. Like, I basically got the game. I played through it. I beat it. And I was like, Ni no Kuni 2, not nearly as good as the first one. And I stand by that. It's okay, but it's not as good as the first game. Yeah, the combat system is more action-oriented. It's more like a Tales combat system where you go up to enemies and you just beat the shit out of them with whatever weapon you have equipped, or you use your melee weapon. So the combat's kind of like Rogue Galaxy, where you have like a main weapon and a side weapon, and the side weapon is like your projectile or your gun or your bow and arrow or whatever, and your main weapon is a melee weapon. So that's kind of cool, but the game kind of like I think Rogue Galaxy had a better combat system than this one did. But whatever. Those of you listening to the podcast, the podcast, you can leave your questions in the chat section, and we will answer them at the end of the podcast. So, leave your questions. Yeah.
And don't be shy these things.
Yeah. So, anyway,
let's see. We've been through DLC the wrong time, and DLC too long.
So now we get to free topics. So anything you guys want to bring up and discuss in the podcast that it's been bothering you, you're like, look, I want to get this off my chest. It needs to be talked about.
Bethesda. past that. Enough of a beatdown.
Oh, you mean how they
I mean, seriously.
how they leaked people's financial information?
That's one, but they're also having lunchboxes come into their newest.
And what would that be?
And if anybody's wondering, lunchboxes are the loot boxes of Fallout. So yeah, getting loot boxes.
Well, I mean, I know the game already had loot boxes.
As in, they're getting their boxes instead of just fake ones.
Because like when you level up in the game, when you level up in the game, you basically get a loot box for what perks you can choose.
That's not the one that. I mean, there's real loot boxes coming to it.
You mean the special edition that was like where they did a bait and switch on one of the products?
Yeah.
They were like, yeah, we know you paid for this, but
there's new data saying that there's going to be lunch boxes that are going to be special things like extra red protection, some gear, some buffs, and well, maybe even some card packs or two.
Well, I mean, I can't say I'm surprised. I mean, here's a little bit of news just came out. Platinum's PS4 RPG Grand Blue Fantasy Relink might be coming to Steam. So, for those of you who saw that game and were like, "Wow, that looks really good. I might have to get a PS4 for it." You might not have to. If you just wait.
The thing is, it's like, I mean, Sony hasn't been really treating their Japanese partners with respect. We're treating them pretty bad lately. So.
They have not been giving their partners respect. They did not come to their godfather and call him Godfather. You call me Mr. Corleone. If I was your friend, you would have come to me and called me your godfather. But they didn't, so.
Nope. So I think a lot of things will either go to PC or they will go to Switch, or both.
I think it's gonna be PC, and we've already seen this. Like a lot of PS3 RPGs were also hitting PC, and now like when the PS4 launched, a lot of games that were like, "This is PS4 exclusive," and it's PC.
Did Persona come to PC yet?
No, but it probably will at some point in the future.
Yeah,
I think.
Yeah,
I wouldn't be surprised.
Yeah, because a lot of those Japanese games do. I guess they do fairly well on PC. They keep publishing them.
Well, I mean, basically on PC, it's just basically like I think the games basically either meet they make a modest profit on console, and then the PC version is just gravy on top of that.
Yeah, so those games don't take a lot to make.
No, because basically they're just porting the code. And generally speaking, most RPGs don't need like the greatest optimization because, you know, it's not live action combat. It's like, you know, there's more contemplative combat, so you don't need like
usually
the best stuff.
It's turn based.
Yeah, like Dragon Quest 11, which it's not that good. Like everyone was like, "Yeah, this is the best Dragon Quest ever." I'm like, "Are we playing the same shit?"
Yeah, it kind of fell off.
I mean, it's not terrible, but it's not like
Yeah, I need to.
best.
I still want to see it through to the end, but I didn't think it was bad. I don't think it was as great as everybody was saying it was. But
Yeah, I had a viewer on my channel who was like, "Yeah, it's like I bought the Japanese version. It's great." I'm like, "Can you read Japanese?" He's like, "No." I'm like, "Then how the fuck do you know it's the best game ever? It's the best one ever." Like, I played all of the localized Dragon Quest games, and I can tell you right now, Dragon Quest 11 isn't terrible, but it's not the best one ever. Like, I would say Dragon Quest 8 had a better story, better character development, because basically you only had 4 playable characters. So throughout the entire game, these 4 playable characters have a really developed story because there's only 4 of them. Ninsane Gamer, I'm a bit late to this one. What did I miss? Well, we talked about how the PS1 Mini has been failing financially and commercially. We talked about how Street Fighter V in-game advertisement is just annoying. We talked about how Marvel Ultimate Alliance 3 is a cool idea and what we hope to see in it. We talked about how Ni no Kuni 2's DLC took too damn long to come out. And that's it. Anyone have any other free topics they want to bring up? I know, Jewel, you brought up how Bethesda's still trying to screw over their consumer base, but
Yeah, because if anything, I said that they are now bringing in real loot boxes instead of just loot boxing their EXP system.
I mean, we knew this was going to happen. Look, this game, initially Fallout 4 was supposed to have multiplayer as the DLC. They took that out and put it into this game. Like, they made it its own separate thing. Still sucks. So, you know, and Bethesda, I mean, this is why they created the Creation Club. Because Bethesda's games, like, have an active user base years and years and years after they come out. So they wanted to find a way to monetize that. So that's why they created the Creation Club, so they could sell mods. That's why they created this game, so that they could sell you loot boxes and shit. It's hilarious.
yeah, yeah.
I was going to say
Also-
sad and hilarious.
What?
I was also thinking that the
Back, guys.
next.
Welcome
that the
back.
next, welcome back. That the next pack that'll be announced will probably be a Square Enix character, and it'll probably be Sora.
Square Enix character? What? I hope not.
What did they miss?
Much to a lot of people's dismay, it'll probably be Sora.
I hope not. I really fucking hope
Oh,
not.
are we talking about the leak about the Square Enix rep for Smash?
Yeah.
And how
I don't want it to be
going on
Sora
that it's
either.
gonna be
I'd much rather it be.
Dragon Quest.
I would rather have a Dragon Quest character or Chrono or one of the Chrono Trigger characters, because
Then Sora.
you know.
Well, according to the rumors, it is going to be a Dragon Quest character. It's Erdrick from Dragon Quest 3.
Oh, that would make sense. You mean?
I'm okay with that.
Of course,
It's not Sora or
there's
Gina
people
or-
debating on whether or not Dragon Quest should be in Smash because of the controversies regarding its composer.
Well, aside from his being the guy being apologetic for Japanese soldiers' brutality during World War II, you know, and them basically trying to invading certain ports in Korea and China, and basically getting various women and forcing them to be comfort women for their soldiers. I mean, which is fucked up. I mean, you can't really explain that away.
You can't really.
Yeah, you can't explain that away. That's fucked up. I mean, aside from that guy's apologism for that, I mean, Erdrick would be a cool character because the Dragon Quest series began on Nintendo consoles. It began on the Famicom, and you know, it's been on the Nintendo systems for years and years and years and years. So it would make sense for there to be a Dragon Quest character. Loto. I mean, I know people call him Erdrick, but I'm talking the original translation of the character. He was called Loto or Roto, depending on you know, the Anglicization. How they don't have. It's difficult for Japanese people to say L's. They come out as R's. But yeah, I mean, I could take it. I like it. It's cool to me.
Throw the bone to the people who are unironically asking for Goku.
Well, I mean, if they look, here's the thing. I will accept Goku if instead of using Goku from Dragon Ball Z or Dragon Ball, they
use the young Goku.
No, they use Son Goku from Sun, which is based on the Monkey King from Journey to the West, which is what Dragon Ball is based on. So yeah, if they use that Goku, then I'm cool because that's the original. The Monkey King, Stone Monkey. If any of you ever get a chance to read Journey to the West, it's divided into 3 books, and they're all really good. Although I will tell you right now, everyone thinks Goku is badass. Go read Journey to the West. Stone Monkey would fucking kill Goku, and then fuck his wife and make Gohan call him his daddy, because he's that badass. In this case, Goku. Well, Goku's a pale imitation of the original. The original Monkey King is badass as fuck. He is, oh man, he's badass. Until he gets his ass kicked by Buddha, but he fought God. So what can I say? He fought God. You can't really.
You try to fight God, you're like basically asking for.
Yeah, Journey to the West is a morality tale of Eastern literature, but if they did Journey to the West now, like that whole segment at the end of book 1 where he fights Buddha, he would have won and defeated Buddha, and then gone to a higher level of existence where he realizes he's not that strong, and so it starts all over again, like a manga or an anime. So
yeah, it's like that.
And
you're always fighting God in these freaking animes.
And since Kenoshi has already talked about Sora, have you guys heard about KH3 being leaked a month early?
I heard they leaked details. I really don't give a shit because I don't give a fuck about
it's been I don't know how long since Kingdom Hearts 2 came out. I don't care. Yeah, I don't care.
I don't care, man. Like this game should have came out 10 years ago.
Look, this is how much that game can sell. 150 million copies, and I still wouldn't care. I don't care if that game lives or dies.
Let me put it this way. Kingdom Hearts 3 should have came out towards the end of the PS2 or the beginning of the PS3's life cycle. The fact that they waited this fucking long to release another Kingdom Hearts game, like I don't like these people who think that like these people who think this game's gonna be all that great. I'm sorry, it's not. It's not gonna be that good. Okay. I'm sorry to burst your bubble. I know some people are gonna get upset, but I don't give a shit. Fuck them. So Aries73 has a comment. He says Fallout 76 seems like an elaborate rib on Bethesda's part. At least I like to believe this. Yeah, you can believe whatever you want. I don't think it's an elaborate rib on Bethesda's part. I think it's Bethesda's trying to be, like basically their parent company's like, you guys have these games that continue to sell year over year, or at least have an active community. You need to be able to monetize that. And so that's why they've been making the moves they've been making. It's all about money. And I don't think like Bethesda doesn't make good games. They make interesting worlds to play in that modders come and fix. Because Bethesda hasn't fixed a game in years. Like if you go and play vanilla Fallout, Morrowind 3, that game still has bugs in it that Bethesda has never fixed. And I'm tired of people saying, well, the size of the world means that the game is, it's going to be buggy. Because we've played games that have bigger gaming worlds that aren't as buggy as Bethesda's shit. So, or bigger in that case. I mean, look at GTA 5. That's a huge gaming world. Not as buggy as any Bethesda's game. Red Dead 2, bigger than anything Bethesda's come up with. Not as buggy. So,
Blade Chronicles X and Legend of Zelda: Breath of the Wild.
Yeah, I mean, there's tons of games that are huge open world games, have tons of shit going on, not as buggy. So, I mean, the argument that, oh, well, it's a big, huge game and that's why it's buggy is bullshit. Bethesda's just lazy bastards. And look, listen, okay? I have a friend who used to work for Bethesda. He resigned and started his own little indie studio, and they're doing okay. Now, I'm tell you right now, okay, from what he told me, okay, and I'm not going to name any names, so I don't want anyone to get in trouble. Bethesda has been using the same fucking engine for since like 98, okay? So 20 years at this point, okay? Yeah, they've been updating it, and they switch out parts, and they may update the code here and there, but by and large, they've been using the same fucking code for 20 goddamn years. That's why their games are profitable, because they don't spend the money to make a new fucking engine, even though they really should at this point. Because, I mean, let me ask you a question. Wouldn't it be cool if you could play a Fallout game and actually have vehicles in it? Wouldn't it be cool if you could play an Elder Scrolls game and ride an animal and not have it feel like the game's going to crash every time you get on your horse? Wouldn't it be cool if you could actually commandeer a ship in an Elder Scrolls game and actually like navigate it and not just fast travel someplace while on it? You're not going to get that because Bethesda's going to keep on using the same fucking old broken down engine. Like basically Bethesda's like a dude committing necrophilia. It's like, this body is dead. Get someone who's alive, please. Yeah, they keep on stroking. There's nothing left. It's dead. And no one calls them out on it. Well, it's charming. Yeah, this character is a deformed monstrosity, but it's charming. Yeah, I lost like half of my save data. Yeah, but it's charming. This game,
right? There's a difference between charming and beeping game breaking.
This game crashed in the middle of the most important scene, but it's charming. So, no, I can't. Like, I was one of them. Aries. I was one of the people that was like, yeah, well, Bethesda, they get a slight pass. But then over time, I realized that it's not that I like Bethesda's games. I like what modders can do to Bethesda's games. Like like Fallout 4 is garbage. Even with like the modding community adding shit to it. You know what I'm waiting for with Fallout 4? The reason I bought Fallout 4 for like $19.99, the special, the Game of the Year edition, was because basically I'm looking forward to Fallout 4 New Vegas. Because New Vegas is so much better than Fallout 4 and Fallout 3. But basically, Bethesda's Fallout games are ass. They're not good. And Fallout 76 just reinforces that Bethesda doesn't know how to make a good Fallout game. But we're at free topic, so anyone want to bring anything up? We talked about the Sora leak, which, I mean, fuck them.
So what leaked exactly? Like, did the entire story?
There's two leaks. There's two leaks. There's the leak that Sora's going to be a character in Smash Brothers, which I don't think so, because there's one.
I don't think I've heard that leak before. The only leak I've heard about is that Erdrick is going to be in. The leak that Erdrick's going to be in Smash, not Sora.
Well, either way, that's a leak. And then there's the leak that there was a Kingdom Hearts 3 leak, and the director's like, please don't. I don't really give a shit either way, because I've played Kingdom Hearts. I'm not into it. My favorite character in Persona 5? Persona 5 is fun. It's not my favorite Persona game, so I don't have a favorite character. I like Persona 4. And my favorite character from Persona 4 is Teddy. Teddy and Kanji Tatsumi.
That bleeping bear.
I like Teddy and Kanji Tatsumi, because he's a ruffian Yankee dairy boy, who thinks he's gay, and who beats people with chairs, who's also into sewing. It's like he's just a lot of contradictions.
Wild cards, isn't he?
Well, he's a walking contradiction. It's like that Skittles commercial. You're a walking contradiction. You're Scotch and Korean. like Kanji Tatsumi is a walking contradiction because he's like, I'm a tough guy, but I also might be gay, and I'm a rough rider, and like I fight against hooligans, but I also know how to sew. It's like, what the fuck? Like it's just a lot of walking contradictions. Like he's got this crush on another character who he thinks is a dude, but it's actually a girl who like doesn't want to be a girl. It's just like Persona 4 to me is so much of a better game than Persona 5. Just like because how it captured like real teen angst and like young person issues in a way that Persona 5 tries too hard in some cases to reach that same level, but it just doesn't quite get it to me.
Not to mention Persona 5 goes too far with having a 17-year-old go out with women who are much more older than him.
I mean that's not statutory. That's just a little creepy. Now if he was 16,
weird.
If they were pulling like a Sailor Moon where she's like 13, 14 years old and Darian's like 33, then I would have been like, okay, no, fuck this. Like that's when that's when I basically was like, fuck this series. Because basically, like when I was younger, there wasn't a lot of anime on TV, like, or it was like stealth anime, where it was like it was made by a Japanese studio, but you didn't know it was anime. And I remember watching Sailor Moon. I was like, because that's all we had. I know people are like, you're a kid, you watch a magical girl anime. That's all we had if you wanted anime. It was that Dragon Ball Z.
We didn't have Kiss anime. We
had to take what we could get, goddammit.
Yeah.
So I was watching Sailor Moon. I was like, oh, this is interesting. And one day I went to my local library and they had a whole bunch of Sailor Moon manga. And I sat down and started reading from volume 1. And I was like, this girl is 13 years old, and the dude she's trying to hook up with is 33. Fuck this. and I never watched Sailor Moon again. I'm like, fuck this series. Like I can't get down with pedophilia. I cannot. I don't want to see a grown ass man trying to fuck a young underage girl, which is a major plot point of Sailor Moon. Like people are like, no, that's not. No, really, that's like a major plot point of the series is her will she won't she romance with
Darian.
Yeah, that's a major plot point. I mean, that's why I personally like Rumiko Takahashi over whoever it is who did Sailor Moon, because Rumiko Takahashi has romances, but it's between characters of the same age. Like you look at Urusei Yatsura, and the main character is just the same age as the other main character. You look at Ranma is the same age as Akane Tendo. You watch Inuyasha. Actually, Inuyasha is kind of an aberration because Inuyasha is like 200 years old. like he's a 200-year-old demon, but physically he looks like he's like 15. You know, same age as.
But wasn't that series also accused of supporting bestiality because Inuyasha is a demon and not a human?
No. Who said that?
I heard it like years ago.
Yeah, you heard some bullshit, man. You need to stop going on those forums with that bullshit like that. No, that's not bestiality. Because if that was the case, Inuyasha's mother who would have committed bestiality, because his father was a demon, and yet here's Inuyasha. I mean, it's Japanese mythology, so demons in Japanese mythology can like evolve and transform into human form and shit. Kind of like how
the whole thing with dragons, the people turning into dragons.
Yeah, but like
dragons mating with human beings or whatever.
Japanese mythology is big on that. I mean, think about the whole kitsune thing, where like they have like a a female kitsune in Japanese folklore, who like a guy's like, yeah, I married a nine-tailed demon fox, and the guy's like, yeah, I found out my wife's a nine-tailed demon fox, but she's totally awesome in bed, so I'm gonna stay married to her.
Some things just right.
There's some really off-the-wall Japanese folklore about dudes marrying monster women. There's the one about the guy whose wife is a clam demon, no, oyster demon, and how she makes really wonderful seafood broth. It's actually kind of vulgar, so I'm not going to go into it, but you can figure it out if you think about it. But yeah,
It's quite twisted.
yeah. Like, here's the thing: like the Japanese before the Europeans came and fucked it all up, were really fucking awesome. They had red light districts and like art that was like very risque and, well, not risque in body. It was fucking just straight up pornography. And they weren't as closed off about their sexuality. And then the Europeans came and just fucked it all up for everybody. So, but that's neither here nor there. We got a little bit of time left before we have to wrap things up. So
let's see if I could find any video game related news. Oh yeah, Team Villains won the Splatfest. Yay!
all right.
On the clouds.
Okay. Anything else?
Let's see. We already talked about the Sonic movie from the BS Busters Lite.
Yeah, that just looks bad.
Oh, yeah. Like the Pikachu movie, like something tells me that the people who made that movie
We're
know what
copying the
Pokemon is.
Pikachu movie. Yeah, they were copying the
They know
Pikachu.
what Pokemon is. They understand that Pokemon's absolutely ridiculous.
Yeah,
People making the Sonic movie have absolutely no idea what Sonic is.
yeah, but the Pokemon movie, like, okay, you could tell that the people making the Pokemon movie wanted to try and make how Pokemon would look in real life. And they actually fucking nail it because it's like they look slightly off-putting, but you should still believe, okay, that's a world where those things actually exist.
Yeah.
Sonic the Hedgehog just looks off. It's like, fuck. Jesus Christ. No wonder Dr. Robotnik wants to kill you. I want to join him.
And speaking of Robotnik, I don't want to know what Jim Carrey's Robotnik's going to look like in this live-action movie.
I don't want to know what it wants to look like either. He's probably going to wear a fat suit, I hope. Because, like, I know they're going, he's Dr. Eggman. Fuck you. He's Dr. Robotnik to me. Dr. Eggman. Yeah, go fuck yourself.
Oh, here's something. Charles Martinet wins Guinness World Record for most game voiceover performances as the same character.
It's me, Mario. You know, I don't like Charles Martinet's voice for Mario. I don't like Mario sounding like he's been kicked in the nuts like 15 times in a row. Oh no! Oh!
It doesn't
Mario,
bother me.
your balls have been poked, Mario.
And the Switch surpasses PS Vita sales in Japan.
Yeah. I mean, which isn't surprising considering that the Switch is basically the PS Vita in Japan and a home console. It's taken the place of the Vita and it's a home console. Yeah, it's in Japan. The Switch was basically made to do very well in Japan. So even if it flopped everywhere else, it would make money in Japan, and it's already done that. Like the fact that it's doing well everywhere else is almost like a gravy on top of the train. But the fact that it's kicking ass in Japan should have Sony worried. Sony very, very worried because it's doing well practically everywhere. The only place where I don't think it's doing well is maybe South America, but everybody else is doing pretty well.
And finally, Masahiro Sakurai explains the meaning behind the Smash Bros. Logo. According to him, the intersecting lines are meant to show the quote-unquote crossover nature of the series. And the circle is divided into 4 sections representing 4-player multiplayer.
Yeah, I'm gonna call bullshit. I think they just did that because the logo would look cool, and then like after the fact, it's kind of like how they came up with the Zelda timeline after the fact. Like, because originally there was no timeline, and then after the fact, like people were like, "Hey, what's with the timeline?" And they were like, "Oh shit, we got to come up with something." and that's basically kind of like what happened. Like it's kind of like when artists make something really cool, and then people are like, "What does this mean? What's the symbolism?" Yeah, I totally had this idea the entire time I was making this. No, you didn't. You were just making a game, and the logo looked cool, but whatever.
Or
I could be wrong.
Or it could be just the Brawl's hard mode.
I don't care. I mean, I like the game. It's not my like. Here's the thing. It's not the best Smash game I've ever played, but it's pretty good. I mean, I would say I would put it behind Brawl, ahead of 4, and over 64 and Melee. So it's like it's number 2.
Yeah.
Oh boy, I almost forgot about this one. Square Enix's Yoshinori Kitase comments on the possibilities of a Final Fantasy X3.
And this is the guy who gave us Lightning Returns, and like all those 13 games.
And wasn't there a novel of Wasn't there a novel version, a novel sequel of Final Fantasy X where it contained an explicit sex scene between Tidus and Yuna?
Well, I mean, they are dating, so I mean, it'd be odd if people were dating weren't fucking. That'd be weird. That's strange. Although, I mean, could you imagine having someone who sounds like this when they're reaching the top of the mountain? Ha! 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 I mean, I couldn't. That would be a turnoff for me if I was one. I'm like, this motherfucker needs to get off of me. Get away from me, you bastard. You don't even sound cool when you're in flagrante intellecto. But that's just me. That's just me.
So, according to Kitase, for now, I hope fans can look at these illustrations and just wonder, I wonder what would happen in Final Fantasy X3.
Yeah, Kitase should have been fired years ago for how he fucked up, how he destroyed the Final Fantasy brand with Final Fantasy 13. And how because of him they just keep on trying to push Lightning. They're like, Lightning is popular. Like, no one likes fucking Lightning. She's not even in the top 10.
I remember back in the early 2010s, Rosalina was accused by fans for being Nintendo's Lightning because of how they're pushing her in the recent Mario titles in those days.
Yeah, but Rosalina is an important character. Like, she's basically the god of the Mario universe. Lightning is like, and she has some personality. Lightning has no fucking personality. Like, zero. Like, if you said, okay, what's a defining characteristic of Lightning? You couldn't come up with one because she doesn't have a personality.
Other than saying that she has pink hair.
And that's not a defining characteristic of her personality. Like, the color of your hair is not your personality. I mean, at least with Cloud Strife, you could say, well, he likes being impaled by he likes getting impaled by
Swords.
Sephiroth's long, thin sword. He has a hate boner for Sephiroth. Okay. I mean, it's said that, like, to the point that he ignores hot women throwing themselves at him. Like, Tifa's always wearing those suspenders with her ultra short t-shirt and bustiness and poking out her chest at him. He's like, no, I want to be impaled by that tall, thin man's sword while I cross-dress and wear glitter in my hair. Which happens in Final Fantasy VII, by the way.
Yeah, I know. That's one of the things that made me.
Everything I've said happens in the game. So before anyone says you just don't like Cloud Strife, I'm giving you shit that happened in Final Fantasy VII. So don't tell me, oh, you're just making shit up. No, that actually happened.
Well, it's just that was one of the things that got me to turn that game off. Like I was just like, I can't.
The cross-dressing subplot. I didn't care about that because there's like RPGs always have kind of like a funny aspect going on. Like in Chrono Trigger, where Chrono for 1 gold will act like a chicken at the mayor's house, the rich mayor's house, for 1 gold, which is nothing. You know, like you could earn that fighting enemies in the forest, but you just demeaned yourself for 1 gold. I mean, like, and there is a major plot point that you got to sneak in order to fight this guy. Okay, cool. But the thing is like Cloud Strife has all of these hot women around him, ignores that so that he can chase down Sephiroth. Now, I mean, we know plot-wise it's because Cloud Strife is a imperfect clone of Genova. Sephiroth is also an imperfect clone, but he's more perfect than Cloud is. Cloud's basically he's like well, we should have thrown him in the biological compactor and gotten rid of his body. And that he got apparently he got the will to fight Sephiroth from Zack as Zack died in his arm. The story is convoluted and bullshit. And Sephiroth wants to destroy Midgar because reasons. There's no real like because it's just reasons. Like I would say Sephiroth is one of the weaker villains of Final Fantasy. The only reason people think he's cool is because he had cool music, and I don't think he had the greatest video game music ever either. I think Kefka's the stronger villain, but that's just me.
And I guess that's about it on my part.
All right, so it's 8:37. You guys give your sign-offs, and then we'll wrap things up.
This is Pedophile.
Hold on. This is a little bit of a weird one. You go first, thanks.
This is Pedophile from Forgetting Facts. Right now, I'm currently busy playing Katamari Damacy Reroll.
Really? On the Switch?
Yeah, on the Switch.
Yeah.
Right now, I've already finished the part of the level that I got stuck at. All those years ago in the original PS2 version.
Well, all you're doing is just rolling up shit and then rolling up people, like murdering tons and tons of people and destroying property.
Yep.
And then killing people.
And what's also weird is that despite its E rating, on the label it mentions tobacco and alcohol references, yet it still retains the E rating.
Well, I would say it also has marijuana references because the king of the universe is totally high. Like that dude's totally smoking some shit, and it's some good shit too.
He's so hot. I mean, come on.
He's totally on some shit. He's totally on some shit. Like totally on some shit. Okay, because no one accidentally destroys part of the universe and not be on some shit.
Yeah.
I'll let you go since you're really mashing those buttons, Kanoshi.
Oh, this is Kanoshi Abominito. And boy, Nintendo sure crazy about their detail. God dang. When it comes to their art. It's like you have AAA games that are supposed to be super demanding in graphics, but don't have nearly as much detail as some of these Nintendo games out here.
Okay. Joel?
Thank you, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, all. This is coming to the BS Busters, and excuse me while I wait for December 20th to actually smash somebody in the face.
All right. And it's me, Mr. Red Fox here, signing off. Thank you for joining our podcast. Remember, rate, comment, share, subscribe, and give us a thumbs up because we have a troll who comes to my channel and thumbs downs my videos because he doesn't have a life. So with that being said, that's the end of the podcast. Thank you for joining. Peace and good night.
And hype responsibly.
Oh, and before I forget, stay tuned. There will be a BS Busters Light this week, Wednesday, 7:30 to 8:30, and BS Busters next week, Sunday, 7:15 to 8:45. Thank you and have a good night.